Hello, everyone, especially to my students. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for your support, guys. This time in this video, I will discuss to you the other part of or one of the parts of thesis or research paper, which is the review of related literature and studies. And my discussion is taken from the book entitled Developing Competencies in Research, a practical guide for students and instructors, copyright year 2017, authored by Carlito D. Garcia, Doctor of Education. One of the parts of thesis or research study is the review of related literature and studies. What is meant by the review of literature and studies, and what are its purposes? The review of literature and studies involves the critiquing or looking over again what other researchers have done in relation to the problem to be studied. Conducting the review serves the following purposes. First, to broaden the researcher's knowledge base in the research area or topic. Second, to ensure originality in the conduct of one study. Third, to help the researcher in designing his proposed study. Fourth, to provide the researcher insights on the strengths and weaknesses of a previous study. And lastly, to serve as basis for the researcher's formulation of the theoretical and conceptual framework of his study. What are the requisites for doing the review? Reviewing the literature and reviewing the literature is not an easy task. It involves a systematic identification, search, and a critical analysis of existing conceptual and research literature related to the researcher's topic or problem. Is conceptual literature and research literature. Conceptual literature refers to ideas, concepts, and theories propounded by experts as contained in books, periodicals, and other standard references. On the other hand, research literature consists of empirical studies conducted by individuals and professionals on a given research problem or topic. There are four basic requirements for doing the review according to Ardales in 1992. These are patience, persistence, and industry. That's number one. Excuse me. Number two, a good knowledge of doing the review according to, I mean, a good knowledge of library techniques, tools, and skills. Number three, pen and 3 by 5 index cards. And number four, a knowledge of the internet. Let me briefly elaborate these four requisites or requirements for doing the review of literature and studies. Patience, persistence, and industry are essential qualities a researcher must possess when doing the review. This is because he has to spend time spotting books, journals, theses, dissertations, and research projects needed in completing the review of literature. A good knowledge of library techniques, tools, and skills is also one of the requirements for doing the review. A researcher has to be skillful in locating references in the library. So as to maximize his time, he has to acquaint himself with the use of the author, title, and subject cards in the library's catalog box. If you know the author of a book or reference you are looking for, you can use the author card to locate the book or reference. If you don't know the author but you know the title of the book or reference, example of the title, business, partnership, and corporation, you can use the title card to find it. And if you don't know the author and the title, but know what subject you are researching for instance, your subject is business organizations. So you can use the subject card to locate the books or references. It is important for the researcher to be familiar with the use of the author, title, and subject cards in the library's catalog box. This will definitely enable him to identify library resources that can be used in the actual review of literature and studies. Another requirement is that the researcher needs a pen and 3 by 5 index cards. Why? He has to bring these things whenever visiting the library and other research centers for recording important details related to his proposed topic or problem. A requisite is the use of the internet. The use of the internet is also one of the requisite skills that a researcher has equipped himself with. Through the internet, he can readily locate materials which cannot be found in the library. What are the guidelines in doing the review? There are there are some guidelines that you as a researcher have to consider when doing the review of related literature and studies. Notable among these guidelines are the following. Number one, go over the materials you have at home or in your own library. So, first of your sources is your own house or your home. So, that is one of the good qualities that we have to possess, guys. The collection of books and having a library in our home. That is why there is a saying that aside from the collection of friends, one of the important good character we have to possess is the collection of books. Okay, because from our friends we can gain valuable experiences in real life, and with our books we can gain valuable knowledge and virtual experiences that can help also our growth and development. So it is important, guys, to collect books, not just friends. Okay, so let's continue. Number one guideline, to go over the materials you have at home or in your own library. And number two, search. Before I continue, number two, Also, if you don't have your own library at home, you can go over to the library of your relatives or your friends. Okay. So number two, search for existing literature in your college library or learning resource center. So in our college, we have in Trinidad Municipal College, we have two libraries. We have the college library and our public library. Okay, so that is our public library is considered to be the learning resource center of the municipality of Trinidad, where there are a lot of books and references. Number three, prepare a working bibliography. Record all vital details concerning the books and researches you are to include in the working bibliography, like author, copyright date, title, publisher, place of publication, and the like. Number four, examine each material listed in your working bibliography. Decide which of those included in it shall be considered in the actual review of literature and studies. And number five, record important details of what you have reviewed on a 3 by 5 index cards. Okay, after completing the process as cited in the guidelines in doing the review, how are you going to write the review? Writing the review, consider the following guidelines as identified by Liddy in the year 2005. Number one, the text of the review should be brief and direct to the point. To ensure brevity and conciseness, you have to summarize or paraphrase important points. Avoid direct quotation of the author's ideas or the results of the studies you reviewed. Number two, have a plan on how you are to present the review. Prepare an outline before finally writing the review. This will ensure coherence and unity of ideas to be presented. The problem you are going to work on can serve as your outline for discussion of related literature and studies that are relevant to your intended research. Number three, emphasize relatedness. Keep the reader aware of the manner in which the literature you are discussing is related to your problem. Try to point out precisely what the relationship is. Number four, review the literature. Don't reproduce it. Refrain from copying verbatim or word for word what the authors or researchers say. Critically review and discuss the literature in relation to your research work. These are the guidelines in writing the review. After writing the review is the presenting the review. There are three ways of presenting the review, namely, first, chronological approach, second, thematic approach, and third, country of origin approach or country of origin approach. In chronological approach, literature and studies are presented according to the year when they were written. When using this approach, the review can be presented following the outline that begins with introduction. Next is recent literature and studies. Then list recent list recent literature and studies. And the last part of the outline is the synthesis of the review. In the thematic approach, also called a variable approach, literature and studies with the same findings or themes are grouped together. When using this approach, research and conceptual literature can be presented and studies presented following the outline that starts with the first introduction. Next is literature and studies in variable 1, then followed by literature and studies in variable 2, and the last part of the outline is a synthesis of the review. In the country of origin approach, literature and studies are categorized by the country where they came from. In most colleges and universities in the Philippines, the scheme this scheme is popularly used. When using this method, these are the country of origin approach. Literature and studies can be presented based on this outlined. First is introduction, next foreign literature and studies, then local literature and studies, and lastly synthesis of the review. A close examination of suggested guidelines of the three approaches, it reveals that that they share something in common, whether the approach is chronological, thematic, or country of origin. An introduction and a synthesis are needed. It is in the introduction where you have to make your reader aware of how you are going to present the reviewed literature and studies. On the other hand, it is in the synthesis of the review where you have to stress or emphasize the uniqueness of your study via via or face to face the literature and studies you included in the review. Next topic is preparing the research abstract. An abstract is a summary that contains the relevant information from a research report or a thesis according to specified categories. A good abstract contains the following information: a problem, hypothesis, subjects of the study, methods and procedures, and findings and conclusions. The problem is the statement of the research problem of the research or thesis being reviewed. It includes both the major and specific problems of the study. Then next is the hypothesis. The hypothesis of the study specifies the hypothesis tested by the researcher in the study under review. The subjects are the individuals involved in the study, including how they were chosen or selected. The section on the methods and procedures describes how the study was done. It includes such items as method of research utilized, like descriptive method or experimental method. And next, the instruments or collection tools employed in the study, like interview, or the use of in-depth interview, or the use of a structured or unstructured questionnaire. So those are a sample of the instruments or data collection tools. Another is the analysis performed by the researcher. So that is for the section on the methods and procedures. The last section of the abstract is the findings and conclusions, and this identifies the salient or very very important findings and conclusions of the study. They are usually numbered when the research report or the thesis is quite lengthy. Before preparing the abstract, you have to record the following bibliographic information about the research or thesis which you will use in your actual bibliography. These are the title of the research, names of the or name or names of the researcher, nature of the research, like if it is a baby thesis for you. Next, the year when the research was completed. Next, and the last, the college that granted the degree of the researcher. Okay, so following the APA or the American Psychological Association format, the abstract is both a concise or brief summary of the purpose of the study, its main points, method, findings, and conclusions. With APA format, the length of the abstract should be a minimum of 150 words and a maximum of 200 words, and confined in a single paragraph. While the first line of the abstract is not indented, okay, again, it is not indented, the first line of the abstract. The line that contains the keywords that directly follow the paragraph has to be indented. While active voice and past tense is used in the abstract, present tense is used for conclusions and implications. Acronyms included in it or in the abstract have to be defined. The following excuse me. The following guidelines have to be observed when presenting the abstract following the APA format. First, or number one, the title of the abstract is centered at the top of the page. There should be no extra space before the title and the paragraph. Second, keywords are indented and italicized. Indentation is 5 spaces from the left margin, followed by a colon. There is no period at the end of the keywords. And third, use Times New Roman font, 12 points, double space throughout the paragraph. Okay, so here is a sample abstract of the thesis written and defended by Gutierrez in the year 2015, following the APA format. The title of his thesis is Organizational Culture and Work Values of the College Faculty Members of Jose Rizal University. Here is the paragraph. The study established the significance of relationship between the prevailing organizational culture at Jose Rizal University and the dominant work values of its college faculty members during the second semester of academic year 2014 to 2015. The descriptive method of research was utilized in order to respond systematically and objectively to the problems posed in this study. A total of 122 faculty members selected throughout selected through the use of personal data sheet, organizational culture assessment questionnaire or OASQ, devised by Sushkin and Rauschenbach in the year 2013, and Work Values Inventory or WVI, modified by the University of Melbourne in the year 2013. Results of the study revealed that a moderately strong organizational culture pervaded JRU or Jose Rizal University in relation to adaptation and management of change, achieving goals, coordinated teamwork, customer orientation, and overall strength. College faculty members were noted to attach a high degree of importance to their ability to attain personal and organizational goals, the intellectual challenges posed by teaching, and their experience helping young people achieve their life goals in an environment of openness and trust. The prevailing organizational culture was significantly related with importance attached by the faculty on their work values, particularly in the areas of achievement and open communication. Keywords: work values, organizational culture. Okay, so that is all for our video at this time, and watch out for our next video. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and remember, knowledge is power. Thank you and have a nice day. Keep safe, everyone.